So this is my 1970 Polaris Mustang snowmobile. So I've had this one for probably about 3 years, and I've never touched it. So everything else I've got snowmobiles wise, I've had running in the last couple of years, a year or two anyway. But it's finally supposed to snow this weekend, and I'm tempted to pull this one down and see if I can get it to run. When I bought it a couple years ago, I did give it a little shot of some carb cleaner and pulled it over, and it did pop and fire off of that. So spark and compression wise, it should be just fine. So I think it should be just a matter of going through the fuel system and the carb on it. Another cool thing about that is when I bought that Mustang, I bought it with a matching 1970 trail behind. So that's my goal here for this weekend is I'm gonna see if I can get this thing running again and then pull the kids around on this thing around town. Hopefully we actually get enough snow. They're saying enough to go riding, but you know, the weathermen aren't always right. All right, so it's Saturday night, it's about 9 o'clock. Snowing right now. We're supposed to get some more snow tonight and tomorrow. Hopefully get 4 or 5, 6 inches, something like that. And I'm gonna try to get this snowmobile running tonight so that I can use it tomorrow. I've done zero preparation. No idea if I've got enough stuff sitting around here to get it running if I need anything, but we're gonna give it a try. Okay, we're just gonna use the forklift here. Pick this thing off of this thing, off my rack here. I meant to start this video, or I did start this video a couple days ago with the intentions of not being rushed, but with the snow coming, I got a kind of huge rush of demand for ATVs with plows and plow installations, so I spent a ton of time doing that instead. So now here I am, last minute doing this. Well, just like that, it's down. Oh boy, it's nice and dusty. Well, I'm gonna go grab this thing from the back side with the forks, and then we'll go put this thing on the lift. Just like that, we're gonna throw it on the lift and get started on this thing. I'm really hoping that my main challenge on this is the fuel system. Gas tank on this thing is back here. I don't know what that looks like down inside there. Definitely dry, so that's at least good. Not dealing with some really crappy gas, but I don't know what these gas lines are like or anything, but that's got to pump all the way up there, and we'll start with some of that stuff, get this hood off, and start addressing the carb system. Brake seems free on it. Throttle, well, I guess it is actually kind of free. I thought it was stuck there. That just broke free a little bit. All right, let's get at it. Unlike newer style snowmobiles, this hood, there's actually some clips around the sides, and then a couple in the front. And this whole hood is just gonna lift right off of there. So here's our engine on this thing. So this is a 400cc 2-stroke fan cooled motor, dual carbs on it. After looking at it here, I didn't even realize it, but it's got electric start too. So maybe I should just cheat and throw a battery in this thing too. But motor still turns over. Like I said, when I got this thing 3 years ago, I gave it a shot of some carb cleaner into the carbs, and it did pop off a couple times, but that's all I've done to it. So I think we're going to start with getting these carbs off and then kind of inspecting some fuel lines. And I'm really hoping I don't need to replace much for fuel line because I don't really have anything on hand. So this seat flips up on here. We've got storage underneath here, and it looks like we've got 2 hard lines running from the gas tanks. One of them is probably a return line. We do have, this is kind of like a little rubber fuel line hooked on there, so we'll kind of see if that seals. It looks a little questionable. Yep, so let's get these carbs off there and start from there. Change of plans already. Down inside this gas tank, there was some crud down in there and some junk and everything else, so I think I'm going to pull this gas tank off. I think there's just 2 bolts on each side holding this little cover on that just kind of wedges and holds it in there, so pull that off and get this gas tank out. I'm going to power wash it out quick, just get that grime and stuff out of there. So I think that'll just cause me some problems down the road. I've got these 4 bolts loose, so I believe my gas tank is loose here, so I should be able to pop the whole thing off quick. All right, our gas tank is free. This came off in 2 pieces. The rear grab bar came off, and then like I said, this just kind of slid over and clamped down onto the gas tank. I had to undo a couple wire nuts for the tail lights. But other than that, looks like we've just got 2 gas lines holding this guy on. So pop that off, and then we're gonna power wash this thing off. I can also check and see if it's leaking at all, because that'd be kind of unfortunate if I filled it up with gas and it was just, you know, pouring gas out somewhere. Gas tank is off. On this guy, there was return gas line up there, and then the intake one is down there. Overall, it seems to be in pretty good shape. I don't see any obvious rust spots or anything, but we'll blow it off with power washer and then, yeah, clean the inside out and see if it leaks. The tank is clean, and while this is drying, I'm gonna pull the carbs off. So basically, we've got some little, kind of pre-filter, more like a silencer sort of thing. Those are just clamped on, and then it looks like each carb has got a bolt on each side, so it's a flange mount on these. So should just be a couple screws and or clamps, a couple bolts here, and those will be free. And then down here we've got a fuel filter. The fuel pumps back underneath there. So now I got this gas tank off though too. I'm gonna blow through the fuel lines, make sure all those things are good and clean too. This carb is loose, so the next steps would be to remove, this is the choke cable there. This is the main throttle barrel. That just unscrews both of those. And then we've got a primer hose right there. Pop those off and the carb will be free, and then we'll do the same on the other carb. So here's the first carb. Had everything disassembled pretty easy. The barrel slid out nice, which is good. Sometimes those get stuck in there. So next step would be to remove this bottom bolt. There's 4 Phillips head screws on there. And then we can get to our jets and everything. So then we're gonna clean all those out and make sure everything looks good inside there, and do that to both the carbs. This is inside. There was the 4 screws that came out of there. Honestly, doesn't look too bad really. And there's obviously some debris and scaling down in there, but not that bad. Sometimes when these carbs are really bad, they're super green and everything else. The jets don't look that way. What I find though is a lot of times with like pre-mixed 2-stroke engines where you're mixing the oil and the gas together, like these old snowmobiles are, they seem to keep the carbs much cleaner than just straight normal gas. So we'll pull these jets out. So this is the main jet there, and then down in that hole, that's our pilot jet, and then we got our float needle and stuff there. So we'll pull all that stuff out, clean all out really good, throw it back together. So I've got both the carbs clean now. Honestly, they both looked really good. Both the jets, pilot jet and the main jet, were both clean inside of them. I think this thing, if I would have got gas down the carb, it probably would have ran okay. So I think what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna pull this fuel filter off. So this is going to, there's our fuel pump right there, and that's pumping to both the lines. So my plan is we'll pull this fuel filter off. I'm gonna blow into the back side and hopefully blow any crap out. And then we're gonna blow through the other side too, and make sure these gas lines are open and clear. The fuel filter definitely had some old gas stuck down in it. Popped out pretty easy, and actually these fuel lines all seem pretty flexible still, which is incredibly promising that I won't have to replace any because I don't have anything else. Okay, blow them out and then probably throw these carbs back on and then start putting some gas in it and see what happens. All the gas lines are clear on it, but this one down here is a little rubber hose going onto this steel line. Oh, it was kind of a little loose on there. I added a couple zip ties in this one to kind of hold these two guys together. Notice in here there's a little part. Those little parts got a note on it. Says the track is all fixed. New cleats for broken ones and new broken rivets. It says need to tighten or replace this track slide on top underneath. Apparently this part. Wonder if that'll be crucial or not. We got a spare belt in here too. Okay, I think I got my fuel lines done, so it's time to throw these carbs back on and then throw my gas tank back on. The gas tank is back in place now. The carbs are back installed. I've got a new fuel filter down in there. Got the spark plugs off. Still have spark. Kill switch seems to work too. I'm going to dump a little oil down each one of the cylinders just to kind of pre-lubricate this thing, and then fill it up with gas and then kind of prime the system, and then we're going to see if it's going to fire. Okay, I've got everything hooked up. Got gas in it. It's down to the fuel filter. The little primer seems to be working. Oh yeah, I'm getting a little squirt up here. Okay, I just gave it a couple squirts. I've got this thing jacked up. If you've never started a 2-stroke snowmobile before, you never know if they're just going to take off and run away. Since there's no neutral on them, could remove the belt, but this was easy enough. All right, well, I gave it a couple squirts there. We'll give it some throttle, see what this thing does. Nope, have to kill it. Switch on. maybe I flooded it. Plugs were wet. I just pulled them out, blew them off, blew some air down into the cylinder. Full throttle, give it a go. Idle a little high. I'm going to turn this idle down just a little bit. Looks like we maybe have a little bit of leak from a couple. There's kind of a T-fitting coming up here to the off the fuel pump. Looks like it's seeping a little bit there. I might need to add some hose clamps onto that thing. Well, let's turn this idle down a little bit on these. Just go a quarter screw on each screw or on each carb. All right, let's see what this sounds like now. Screw didn't seem to help at all, so I'm going to adjust these. The adjustment on the throttle cable itself will loosen these up, and then see if that barrel's just hanging a little high on there. All right, I got it idling pretty decent here. Were set a little bit too tight. Had to loosen those down and then bump up the idle adjustment screw. Sounds pretty good. Well, I think it's time just to pretty this thing up a little bit. We're gonna power wash this thing out, blow the dust on it, put the hood back on it, and see if we get some lights. But other than that, I think she's ready to hit the snow. Hopefully we got some snow tomorrow. It's about midnight right now, and it's, I don't know, there's maybe an inch outside or something right now. We're supposed to maybe get 4 to 6, and I hope that's the case. We'll see what tomorrow brings. The maiden voyage. It went down and back in the parking lot. The headlight even works, and the tail lights. Let's hope for some more snow. Well, it's the next day. It's Sunday. This is our 4 to 6 inches that we got. Got a big old inch, if that. I was really hoping we'd have enough to cover the street. This video would end with, you know, driving this thing up down the street, pulling the kids in the trail behind. But gonna have to wait till another time. So I guess this is the end.